youtube.com/MayhewMayhem. That's youtube.com/MayhewMayhem.
Hello and welcome to another episode of 30 Minutes of Mayhem. I am your host, my name is Michael Mayhew, and I am here with my co-hosts.
What's up, everybody? It's me, Greg, and we are once again joined by the man whose face looks like a hairy scrotum.
Nick from youtube.com/TicTacMan, and also joining us is my hetero life mate, Emmanuel.
As I said, welcome to 30 Minutes of Mayhem, the podcast your mother can be ashamed of. And tell me, Nick, why is this the podcast your mother can be ashamed of?
Because I keep reusing the same jokes, and I realized the other day that I'm not really all that funny. I just put in a lot of work, and it seems to be dumb people really enjoy my jokes.
That is exactly correct. Before we started recording this episode, Greg was telling us about thinking about possibly peanut buttering his dick and balls, and then, trying to get his dog to lick them so he could, get that attention. So, Greg, run us through your thought process on that.
Okay, my thought process was 1, fuck you, 2, I never said that, and 3, go fuck yourself.
With that being said, let's take a quick commercial break.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. This is Greg.
Hi.
Greg, are you a virgin?
Yes.
This is Greg in 30 Minutes of Mayhem apparel. Tell me, Greg, are you still a virgin?
Yes.
Then I don't know what your fucking problem is. Because 30 Minutes of Mayhem has gotten me laid.
If you want to help get Greg laid, email us 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. Hashtag take Greg's V-card.
Or if you want my face on your body, head over to MayhewMayhem.spreadshirt.com.
Unlike me, maybe a 30 Minutes of Mayhem shirt will have others saturated by your sweet succulence.
I doubt that.
If you're a long-time listener to the show, you already know this, but every once in a while, our sessions when we record are so good that it ends up being multiple episodes, sometimes 2 or 3 episodes from one session, because there's too much that's too good to cut out. On this particular episode, there was stuff from episode 86 that I really enjoyed and would not fit into 86. In episode 86, we talked about the topic of how will I perceive existence after death. And I really enjoyed Greg's answer so much. So I wanted to use it here because I also have other clips from episode 86 that were not used in the original episode that I thought deserved the justice of being heard. So let's first start with Greg's answer to the question of how will I perceive existence after death. Greg, what do you think about this existential crisis?
Yeah, I was going to say crisis.
Christ. This existential Christ is what?
No, he said Christus. That's to be like racist against Jesus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Can you just get back on the topic?
Yeah, mainly because I suffer from depression, and that kind of makes me feel like I think about death a lot because of that.
Do you
like
have
that's something
suicidal
that's always...
ideations? Because if you do, we need to dial in somebody else here real quick.
No, nothing that would it be considered where I would actually go through with it. I've thought of
So you feel like you would be better off. You would be better off dead, but you don't.
Yeah, there are some times where I get really depressed and I feel like I'd be better off dead, but I never actually come anywhere close to actually going through with hurting myself. I do get to thinking about it a lot because sometimes it's one of those things where it's I was raised Catholic and everything, and
that's why I have suicidal thoughts.
What? And I still believe in God and all that. I don't really consider myself part of a religion or anything, but I still believe in God and everything. But at the same time, I can say I believe in God because that's where religious belief is called religious belief, because you believe in it. But I don't know for a fact that there is or is not a God. So I've always wondered, what's gonna fucking happen to me when I die? Am I gonna actually, is there gonna actually be an afterlife? I really hope to God there is, because fuck, I would hate it if this was the only life I got. If this was the only life I got, that would suck.
Your afterlife is the fact that you will be put into a dark space and forced to listen to Avenged Sevenfold's Afterlife for all of eternity.
Like that's just always something that's been on my mind. I mean that's surprisingly enough, that's actually one of the reasons why I have not actually gone through with any suicidal thoughts I have, is because I'm worried that what if this is the only life I have? If I killed myself, that was it. There would be nothing else afterwards, and
well, you wouldn't know, though.
Yeah, I know that, but at the same time, that
thing,
scares
right?
me, because it's just like, oh my god, I would just end it without like having a chance to experience anything else in life, and
but you wouldn't know that you didn't experience anything else if that was your thought. If it's just and it's black and that's it, or nothing, like everything just stops, like not that you can see or feel anything, it's just that's it.
Well, yeah, no, I mean like it would be, yeah, you wouldn't have any like consciousness anymore. It would just be like you're gone. But that still scares me, because it's just like I don't want to just end. I don't want to just be like that's it. That's it. You're gone. You're done. Like I don't want that. That is like a horrifying thought to me. So like I really want there to be more after death, even if it's not like what we typically perceive as an afterlife or anything like that. But I just hope there's something when you die, that something happens. Like I don't want this to just be the only life that I have, because it's scary to think that wow, after this everything would be over and done with. Because I mean, the way my life is going, I don't know if my life's gonna really be all that spectacular by the time I finally reach the end of my life. So I just really don't want this to be the only goddamn life I have. So just something that keeps me up at night.
What if, after this life, you have a next life to where you're the exact opposite of what you are now? So, like, instead of never having sex, you've never masturbated because you're too busy having so much sex.
Reincarnation.
Also, from episode 86, we covered a topic about ever have a paranormal experience, or an experience you thought was at least paranormal because it could not be explained. In episode 86, Greg was the only one that got to answer the question. But there were other good answers, and I felt like they deserved their time as well. Let's hear some other answers other than Greg's, originally from episode 86.
Back whenever I was going to college, my one friend happened to own a venue where I think it was 2 people were murdered and 1 killed themselves.
Nice.
So obviously, having all the recording equipment and ways of editing it that we had at the university, we're going to go in and we're going to do something fun with that shit. So we did a night of ghost hunting. We were in the basement doing all this crazy shit. One of the people who was there apparently watched a lot of Ghost Hunters, I assume. They were like talking to the spirits and all that. And then we're downstairs in the kitchen. She's like, my grandma used to be in here all the time. And me being me, I was just talking to them, talking to the people I was there with, and I would start talking shit on someone. And then all of a sudden, the calculator that was there, the one that rings up receipts, just started spitting paper out and making noise. And I was just like, oh, what the shit was that? And just turned around, she's like, yeah, my grandmother used to just sit there, and she's the one who ran the numbers mostly. Anytime someone talked shit in her kitchen, she got pissed. I was like, oh, God, yes. My shit talking has stirred the demons. But we went back and we checked the recording of that. While you hear it going off, you also hear like this whispering noise in the background. So that shit was kind of freaky.
Fear of paranormal. The idea of like walking in my house and like say I come out of my bedroom and like I turn and I'm gonna go down the steps, but at the other end of the hall where the bathroom or whatever is, there's just this old man standing there with one arm and a crooked dick, right? Like, but he's not actually there. It's like an apparition, you know what I mean? Because at this point he's died, because it's been a long time since he gave Greg that candy from the candy machine. If it was just an apparition, he was standing there, it'd be fucking terrifying, because you would think that there was another person in your house. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm sitting there with like walking out of my room, huge gut, 2 belly buttons because my dick is so small and it's receded inside of itself, butt ass naked, walking down the hallway, and now I gotta fight this old man with one arm with a crooked dick. Now, if he was an apparition, nothing's gonna happen. But if he's a real person, I'm gonna have to fight him. Yeah, I'm gonna have to throw a one-armed old man down my steps. You know what I'm saying? Like, the idea of that's fucking terrifying to me. But if he's an apparition, it's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, what if he, like, we've all seen enough horror movies to where if he runs at you, it's going to scare the shit out of you. I think it's that just fucking millionth of a second to where you don't know whether it's a human or not. That is what is terrifying to me. That never existed before in me until I started getting older.
I was still kind of like superstitious at the time, and something happened to me during college where I just was like not sleeping as well as I should have. Like even when I like slept, I didn't really like sleep. It's really bizarre. And I actually got so bad to the point where like the only way where I was going to sleep at night was I'd stay up until I'd pass out. Like I just couldn't like. Yeah, thinking about it too much, I started to become like increasingly paranoid, and later on, I ended up having sleep paralysis, which was absolutely terrifying to me. So how my room was positioned is I was in the basement. It was sectioned off into 2 rooms, and one of them was through this curtain. And this curtain was basically fucking like moving and shit, tormenting me in a way. It was just like, because your mind like plays like huge tricks on you when you're in this state. Absolutely terrified me at the time. I was too paranoid to like sleep in my own room for like several months. I actually like moved my like shit upstairs. I thought it was being haunted or something. Like I didn't know what the fuck it was until I like basically put 2 and 2 together. Like, oh yeah, I'm sleep deprived. I'm stressed out. All this other shit. But I actually got like therapy and help and shit. And then it didn't even take that long. It was just like a couple weeks of just like going through some exercises and I was good. But in that period of time, I thought I was being haunted by a fucking demon.
And he looks behind the curtain now. And it's this dead ass old man with one arm with a crooked dick.
God damn it, stop. I was watching the whole time.
He's like, you got any leather in here? Because it's the only way I can get off is if I jerk off with leather.
Oh, God.
You ever been watching bukkake porn and want to hear something other than the guys groaning as they burst on the girl's face? Well, I have the solution for you. 30 Minutes of Mayhem gives you an enjoyable listening experience, and it's easily accessible on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, and Spreaker, while watching a girl getting bathed in and gargle gallons of guy goo. 30 Minutes of Mayhem, the podcast your mother can be ashamed of.
This is Nostalgia Bomb. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Nostalgia Bomb. Today, we are talking about the launch of Nickelodeon's original programming. This episode is episode 91, and as many of us know, 1991 was when Nickelodeon's original programming first aired. Specifically, the original 3 shows that aired on Nickelodeon for its original programming were The Rugrats, Doug, and Ren and Stimpy. From there, they created a massive media empire that still lives on to this day. So, for today's topic, we'll be talking about what shows from Nickelodeon were our favorites and how was it a big impact on our lives, and if we still watch some of those shows to this day. So let's get started, shall we?
I want to just start off.
Was that good?
It was a beautiful intro.
Thank you. I kind of stuttered a couple times, and like I'm kicking myself for that. But
hey, with editing, those stutters will be gone. Trust me, and you did an excellent job. So
yep, those ends never happened as far as we're concerned.
Yes.
There is a first time for everything, Greg, that should give you so much hope.
I know.
Who Wants to Punch Greg's V card might be able to happen now. There's a first time for everything.
If you give an intro like that to a woman and you're like propositioning why she should fuck you, it'll be successful.
Yep. Especially if you preface it with $200 headset and then buy her lingerie afterwards.
And she's forced to be nice to you because she works at the front desk of a hotel.
Anyway, I think we should get to the topic at hand. So who wants to go first?
Growing up in a stricter Christian household, I wasn't allowed to watch Rugrats, so we're just going to cross that off and don't expect me to know anything about that show because I just, for whatever reason, we weren't allowed to watch that.
Yeah, that's really weird.
No independent thinking. These babies are independently thinking, no, you drink this Kool-Aid.
They don't have God on their side.
Continue to drink the tap water, honey. Fluoride is good for you.
That's very topical.
It's too topical. Edit it out. However, with that said, I was allowed to watch the Thornberries.
Yes.
That was like what, like second wave?
More
That-
like
yeah.
third wave, actually.
Third wave?
Yeah,
What would you
yeah,
consider second wave
1998.
then?
What about Rocket Jump then?
You mean Rocket
Rocket
Power?
Or Rocket
That-
Power.
Oh my
Rocket-
god! I
Oh,
can't believe
Rocket
we
Jump's
got-
a YouTube show, isn't it?
God damn
Oh
it.
no, that's fucking
Jumping
Freddie
is
W.
from
I'm
Halo.
sorry.
What the hell?
Fuck.
So hang on, then what would you consider second gen or second wave? If Thornberries and Rocket Power are third wave, then what was second wave?
Most
assuming-
definitely second wave was like that Clarissa Explains It All and all that bullshit around that time.
Oh, you mean like the live action shows they got?
Yeah, that was definitely the phase 2 rollout.
See,
Like you had, what was it? What was the Are You Afraid of the Dark? Which fucking love that.
Actually,
show.
Are You Afraid of the Dark was technically still part of the first wave because that aired in 1992.
Ah,
Oh.
Yeah. So, see, I always
school, bitch.
considered. I always considered like the first half of the 90s from like 91 to 96 was the first wave. So anything that aired during that was the first wave, and then everything that aired after that was the second wave, and the third wave didn't begin until like sometime around like the earlier mid 2000s.
Then Greg, by your definition, then the Thornberries and Rocket Power are second wave.
Yes, second wave, because Wild Thornberries, I remember, aired in 1998. Rocket Power first premiered in 1999, so those would technically be second wave.
here's a cool little caveat to that as well. One of the lead animators and writers for Wild Thornberries actually hails from my and Mike's hometown, and one of the teachers who they had in high school was Mrs. Thornberry.
So that's where it came from. That's really cool. That's a cool
I work
bit
with
of,
her son, or I worked with her son.
I actually
really cool.
didn't even know that. That's a cool little fact.
To go back,
Well-
so Manuel, you missed that first wave, so you didn't like get into Rugrats
I
or
watched like
Doug
a little
or...
bit of Rocco's Modern Life, which is really weird when you think
I
about that in comparison
Doug,
to.
Rocco's Modern Life.
Oh god, Rocco's Modern Life is hands down. Like if I made like a list of my all-time favorite cartoon shows, or just like if I just had to pick one cartoon from Nickelodeon's like first wave that was my favorite,
I
Rocco's
assume
Modern
that's
Life
why
would
you
be it.
masturbate to the second episode.
that it all makes perfect sense.
I have the whole series on
Full
DVD.
circle.
Like I have the whole series on.
They never even re-released that second episode uncut though.
No, yeah, there's like 3 or 4 episodes, Rocco's Modern Life, that were like they were aired once, and then like when they were aired again, they were like heavily edited because there were jokes in them that like Nickelodeon apparently didn't catch the first time they aired, like when they first showed it to them, and then after they aired, they realized, oh shit, I never got the joke until I got much older, but like how the name of the chicken restaurant in that show, Choky Chicken, was a masturbation
Yes,
reference.
I absolutely adored that.
And I guess Nickelodeon didn't realize that either until the 4th season, because for the first 3 seasons it's referred to that, and then the 4th season they changed it to Chewy Chicken. As a kid, I never understood why, and then when I got older, I was like, oh, it's a reference to whacking it. Okay, I get ya.
So speaking of whacking it, when you were testing out the fleshlight that we reviewed a few episodes ago, did you just use it, or did you like use it and use some porno or Rocco's Modern Life when you used it? Is there anything like that?
I use porn. I found like a really good video on Pornhub and let it loose on that.
Okay. Speaking of letting it loose, the Rugrats was my favorite of the original.
That was another one.
And
That was another really good one.
Rocco's Modern Life was good too. Doug.
I was gonna say you once
Oh,
said
yeah, I
that
did
you really
watch
like Doug.
Doug.
But you
That's
watched
right.
but Emmanuel, you watched the bastardized
Yeah,
Disney
the
version
Disney version,
No,
where they
no.
completely changed like half of the voice actors for the show and like completely
Cringe.
ruined the characterization of most of the characters. Oh my god, that was awful.
I didn't watch that. I didn't even know that Disney bought it.
Yeah, Disney bought it in like 1995, and then they just sat on the property for like a year and a half, and then they remembered, oh wait, we have this property we got from Nickelodeon, and then they like brought it back, but it was like absolutely atrocious, and it like only lasted another 2 years before they ended it.
Hey Arnold
Wait.
was really fucking
Oh
good.
fuck.
Yeah, Hey Arnold
Hey
was
Arnold,
amazing
yeah.
too. And they finally made the movie that they were going to make to end the series recently.
When did the live action TV shows start? The ones like Guts, Figure It Out, and all of that?
That was like sometime around like I think either 93 or 94 when a lot of those shows premiered, like Guts and Wild and Crazy Kids and Legends of the Hidden Temple, Double Dare, Family Double Dare, like all those game shows that they created for the network. And surprisingly enough, looking back on it, a lot of those game shows were really solid game shows. Like they were not really
built
like
with legs to them.
Yeah, they were not like dumbed down stuff for kids. Like they actually were genuinely entertaining game shows that were worth watching. So, oh my God, those were really cool too. That was another thing about Nickelodeon's old programming, was that back when their live action shows actually used to be good.
And not just a way for a pedophile to bang young women.
Yep. I remember really early on in 30 Minutes of Mayhem, within the first probably 5 episodes, within that amount of time, we talked about old TV shows, and I remember talking about Legends of the Hidden Temple, so on and so forth.
One of the reasons why I've always loved cartoons was because, like, you know, when you get a really well-written cartoon show, there's going to be like jokes that appeal to like people of all ages, and that's one of my favorite things about them. And that's why Rocko's Modern Life is still to this day one of my all-time favorite cartoon shows.
One of my favorite books is from a dark time in Germany's history. It's called The Little Aryans Boy, and it's very enjoyable. It was popular, but it doesn't exist. It's a fake book I'm making up because I want to write it.
So
fucked up.
I think the key to why these shows were so successful is because they wrote stuff in the shows, Rugrats included, which
Mr. Lipschitz
appealed to the parents, because no matter what, the parents are going to be watching this show. Regardless of whether they're paying attention, it's going to be on. And if they have to suffer through the same shit over and over and over by... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my parents' patience
SpongeBob has not been good in years, and that is...
So, by giving them a little something, like while it's happening in the episode, they're like, fuck, that shit's funny. The kid has no idea, but that is fucking funny. And then they just move on with their whatever. Just give them that little bit of, just that little bit of something. And like every episode or so is what I think one of the things that made these shows so popular is because the parents didn't want to blow their brains out the entire time that the show was on. They were just like, every once in a while, they were like, oh, this show's okay. They're not going to understand the mature content. And then when they do, they're like, ha, that's fucking funny. And then they just move on. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the keys of what made these shows so successful and still stand up.
And the stories themselves are pretty interesting.
The writing was spectacular.
Really, all I have to say is that, Nickelodeon was, like most kids, a big cornerstone of my childhood. And even though it's, pretty much nothing but crap now, I do have to say that I feel grateful for all the great memories and everything that it bestowed upon me, because it was cornerstone of my childhood, and without it, my childhood probably would have been a lot different. So thank you, Nickelodeon, even though you're kind of shit now. Thank you for everything you've done in the past. Once again, this wraps up another episode of Nostalgia Bomb. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode, and we'll be back to 30 Minutes of Mayhem after this commercial break.
Overcome by crippling debt,
but that private college had the best sociology program.
our casters find themselves in an existential crisis.
What the hell am I doing with my life?
They seek donations through PayPal at 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. Who's this Iris, and why is he taking my money? And Nick fights the IRS. Next time on 30 Minutes of Mayhem, the quest for more money. Prepare to be audited.
So our last and final topic, obviously, hence last, is have horror movies, or has the horror genre become played out?
Personally, for me, I feel that the horror genre has kind of become very stale, at least in mainstream cinema. The horror genre has always had a very turbulent existence. If you look like throughout the history of horror movies, there's always periods of like extreme highs and then like periods of extreme lows, and it always goes up and down between the two. And right now I feel like we're in a period of extreme lowness right now, because honestly, there haven't been that many mainstream horror movies released in recent times that have really impressed me. There have been a couple. I will say movies like It Follows and Lights Off were really, really good.
You mean Lights
horror
Out?
and mainstream horror. Lights Out, that's right. Lights Out. They were both very, very, very good mainstream horror movies. But aside from them, I can't really think of too many others that have come out in recent times that...
Have you not seen It?
Really?
The remake of It?
Oh yeah, the new It movie. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, the new It movie was amazing as well. But those are really like the only mainstream horror movies that I've seen in recent memory that I feel I was really impressed by. The last couple of years, the best horror movies I've seen have been like movies that didn't really get a wide theatrical release or like came out straight to video streaming services or on Blu-ray and stuff like that. I feel like part of the reason is because it's fucking Hollywood, okay? They don't want originality. They want stuff that they know will sell. And I feel like with the horror movie genre, they just go with whatever the latest trend right now. And those trends have just been beaten into the dirt so much that
It resembles a leather-bagged woman.
yes, it resembles a leather bag woman. Okay.
That is the only thing that can get you off now when you're a one-armed man with a crooked dick. So, Nick, jump in here. What do you think? Do you think that the genre is played out? To the extent of what Greg is saying here?
To a degree, I mean, from what I see, and I've gone from someone who watches a lot of niche films to pretty much just, I don't have that much time anymore, so it's mainstream films. It seems like it's really played out there. I know in the games industry for years they've said horror doesn't sell, so we're not making it. But honestly, because of that mentality, there's so few and far between that once a good horror game does come out, it goes highly appreciated. Whenever that Aliens horror game came out.
Alien Isolation.
Yeah.
That came out about 3 years ago.
Yeah, whenever that, well, I know, but there wasn't much on the platforms at that time. No one else was doing horror, and it was actually a pretty solid entry. I mean, frustrating at times, but overall a solid game.
Much like with horror movies, in order to find good horror games, you got to kind of delve into the whole like indie games, because there's a lot of really well-made indie horror games out there, but with big AAA title games, there's very few and far between for
because
they
just never sell enough to make budget. I mean, even this most recent Resident Evil is being called a failure. That was the big headline from, I think it was Capcom, was it sold well but not enough.
So the thing about me with horror movies is I generally stayed away from horror movies for a long time. It's only been maybe the past, what I'd call my adult life. There's a lot of tropes that are played out. Something I don't like is it could be done pretty well, and sometimes it's needed, but jump scares and shit. That doesn't really set up the horror atmosphere. It just makes you oop, there was a jump. There are good ones and there's bad ones. And Conjuring was a pretty good horror movie, the first one. I didn't see the next two, but that one was pretty good. And even its jump scares were really subtle ones. The one that everybody remembers, of course, is when you see the face.
Wait, are you talking about The Conjuring or are you talking about Insidious?
Oh shit, I think I'm talking about Insidious. I'm sorry.
He's talking about Insidious, which
My bad.
But my big issue with Insidious was it starts out like a horror movie, and then it pretty much devolves to a comedy by the end.
I like the
a really creepy one though.
Looked like a
the
shitty
Spirit World shit. It was that was
cosplay of
pretty
Darth
funny,
Maul.
but it's also really Uncanny Valley.
Shitty cosplay of Darth Maul. I was like, hang on, was that Darth Maul? He's force projecting himself into this movie? What the hell is going on here right now?
Is he on the Sith homeworld force projecting himself?
Yeah.
Do you want to point out before we go ahead? Insidious is the one with Gull, right? Or Ghoul, whatever the fuck it is.
I think
right?
Wait.
What?
No, you're thinking of.
You're thinking of Sinister.
Sinister.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
God damn it! You're just mixing everything up.
I've seen so many.
Conjuring.
Get them all.
Sinister was actually pretty good.
The
really
first
like
Sinister. Do not watch Sinister 2. Sinister 2 was a
Oh no, I like
train wreck.
Sisters too.
I haven't seen
Sinister
the
2
second one.
fucking sucked.
Is that the one where if you see the thing or whatever, you're gonna die? And it has
That's the ring.
No.
Oh fuck! Oh god, they're all the same. They're all the same fucking movie. Oh, What's the other Japanese horror one that came out the same time as The Ring?
The Grudge, and you're
The Grudge, yeah.
So,
they're all the fucking same.
No,
was that the same Asian screaming boy they had in both of them? I think so.
I think we have exhausted this topic.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I got dinner on the table ready to go.
Yeah.
I gotta take a shit.
Okay, so
take us home. Take us home, Mike.
That does it for another episode of 30 Minutes of Mayhem. I have been your host. My name is Michael Mayhew, and I have been here with my co-hosts
Greg
and Nick.
Make sure to check us out on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, all those different locations, and donate to us on PayPal using 30minutesofmayhem@gmail.com. And that's it for this episode. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it, and later, fellas.